So, guys, you know how we just had Halloween? I was thinking, what the hell is the spookiest thing I could possibly stream on the channel? I mean, I've done all the greats. I've done Resident Evil. I've done Silent Hill. I've done the Callisto Protocol, for better or worse. What's left? That's right, My Little Pony. Maritime Bay Adventures. Fucking hell. I'll tell you why this game is scary. Not for the obvious reasons. You can platinum it in less than 2 hours. Peppa Pig took longer. That took like 3 hours.
Well, it took me an hour and 40-ish. Get everything for it.
Wait,
yeah, I got all the achievements for it on the Xbox Game Pass. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So the terrifying thing is this game costs like £45.
Don't tell me you paid for it.
Oh, did I fuck? Thankfully, it's on PlayStation Plus. That's how I decided to go. I was just scrolling down looking for something spooky. Like, look, what can I do in like one stream as a Halloween special? And he just stared me in the face. Quite literally, like the dead eyes and the ponies just like staring into my soul. I was like, that one would do nicely. So in the game, you play as a pony called Sunny. You roll around on your roller skates. I have no idea how the fuck she does the laces up using hooves. And the literal plot of it just turns into fetch quest simulator. Go here, get this. I've got no idea how their economy works because they just seem to trade things for other things, like a barter system. But sometimes you don't have to do that. They just give you it. It's like, what the hell? How does this work? Anyway, plot.
Wow. So did you do it as a channel point thing? Or was it just...
No, it was just completely blindsided.
You just felt like it.
I just felt like it, yeah.
Do you feel good doing it? Did you feel relaxed?
Listen to the tone of my voice, Brandon. Do I look and sound like I am proud of this?
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Adrian will be proud because you got a platinum.
Yeah, she was.
He's proud because he entertained people, but he's not proud because he played it, and it was probably, from the sounds of it, it was shit.
Yeah, I feel like I've sunk this low. I may as well just give in and start accepting sponsors from Raid Shadow Legends at this point. I've got nothing else to lose.
Will it make you feel better?
No, it won't. Where was I? Oh yeah, plot. Just try again, because it's so stupid. So you go around, like you do like little things for people, like help them out. Most notably, somehow de-vandalize billboards by slapping just a single colour of paint on them and changing them to a completely different JPEG, which I've got no idea how that works. There's a cop pony called Sprout who's bright red, which looks like he's got some kind of venereal disease. I won't lie. It looks raw. It looks painful. And he's angry at everyone. He's like, oh, it's this person. Spoilers, it's him. Of course it's him. Who else is it going to be? And I don't really know what his plan was. He starts a sort of like uprising against Pegasi, like the Pegasus ponies. And I think there's a whole sort of police brutality against Pegasus things, which is skirting something. I don't know what his plan is, because at the end they're just like, oh, we're all friends again. Like, literal ponies are walking around with like signs saying anti-Pegasus. It's like, this is a bit on the nose, isn't it, My Little Pony? Jesus Christ! I didn't see this coming in My Little Pony game. It seems to be a divide of sorts.
I'd say it's like racism to Pegasi.
Yeah, pretty much.
My gosh.
It's really hard. Well, when it was unfolding in front of me, in front of chat, it was like, I just get thinking like, I'm not going to say it, but the game's making it loud and clear what he's trying to do. I have to be very careful with what I say. I didn't think I'd have this problem with My Little fucking Pony.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the hell was going to happen. And I still don't know what the fucking end goal of the bad pony was. And they're all friends by the end anyway. It's like, friendship is magic. It's like, no, you got a fucking riot on your hands behind you. What the hell are you going to do about that?
I feel like the way like you pick these bad games is the way I watch bad anime, or I stick with anime even though they're bad, just because I don't like having anime unfinished. So I'm like, I will watch it even despite knowing it's absolute trash. I feel it's in a similar vein where you're like, this game is bad. And I'm just like, this anime is bad. Yet you're still finishing it. Well, you're finishing it for entertainment, people's entertainment. I'm just finishing it because I want it out of my fucking watch list, and so that if people go to me, oh, you've not got a leg to stand on for well, I don't know, on opinions on anime, I'm like, well, I've watched this and I know it's shit, so I can say it's shit because I've watched it from start to finish.
So you can watch a bad anime and nobody needs to know that you watch a bad anime.
Oh no, I tell people.
DVDs
I tell people
Over
I
there.
watch bad anime. Fucking platinum men can go fucking die.
Inception.
At least there's something to be said for streaming like deliberately bad games, because you can get some entertainment out of it.
That's what I
Just
mean.
ripping it
That's
to
what I
shreds.
mean.
I don't like Peppa Pig and like Paw Patrol, and yeah, they're bad games. We know they're going to be bad games, but I still have a laugh doing it because chats are fucking laughing their asses at what's unfolding in front of them. You just nitpick them to death.
Chris, are you familiar with the band Punk Rock Factory?
I am not.
Well, one of their new songs is something you'd be very interested in. It's the Paw Patrol theme.
Well, I'm going to end this cold open and go and listen to that.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Victory Retrieve Podcast, a video game podcast, but not only a video game podcast. We talk about movies, anime, books, and anything media related that we all thoroughly enjoy. How are you all doing, guys?
Good, yeah. And nice.
Well, you heard from my cold open how I'm doing.
Are you okay, Chris?
That's a very loaded question. Shall we move on?
So, you know, like when you're in court and you're like, I refuse to answer that question.
Yeah, I refuse to answer that on the grounds it may incriminate.
Okay, move along.
Okay, let's talk about something really cheerful. I've seen a lot of horror films.
But
We had the spooky Halloween episode, and one thing which is, you know, truly terrifying is what a lack of sleep can really do to you. Obviously, I've got a puppy, and she likes to keep me awake at very stupid early hours of the day, be it because she doesn't like to sleep in a crate. And I thought, okay, what's like one activity I can do to sort of pass the time in a productive manner? And quite often, you know, you guys know me, I'm not really one for, you know, watching things. I'm usually like an anime or I might read some manga, but I never really watch films. So I thought I'm going to do something about this and actually have something productive to talk about. It's a few weeks late, granted, but I have actually watched 4 fucking horror films in the past, like literally just over the weekend as a binge watch.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are good, and one of them is particularly not good. If you hazard a guess of which one I'm egging towards here. So have any of you guys seen the Slender Man movie?
No. I don't watch horror films.
Do you know much about Slender Man in general?
I know. Yeah, and I'm aware of like the Slender Man game, and I've watched stuff for the game. I've watched gameplay on the game, and I know the general gist-ish. But yeah.
What about yourself, Chris?
I'm quite familiar with the lore because I've seen it on all manner of YouTube videos, and I know how the game works, but I have not seen the film.
Well, whatever you know about the games, just open up, you know, a plastic bag, put it into this plastic bag, find your nearest bin, and put it in the bin.
Yeah, I knew that was coming.
Basically,
I knew that was coming.
So, you know, like for the lore of the games is Slender Man will follow you. You have to try and find 8 pages to stop Slender Man or whatever, and he's like following you.
Mm-hmm.
I can't really remember in terms of like the actual creepypasta lore itself, but essentially what happens here is you've got like the teenage high school girls. You know, they're partly into the occult or whatnot, and their friends as well, like guys are interested, and they're saying, "Oh, we're gonna go watch this creepy video on the internet." And the girls are like, "Oh, maybe we should do that." So the girls watch this creepy video on the internet, and they all start having like a strange like experience while watching it, and then they sort of get the paranoia of being followed or someone's watching them or whatnot. And then it transpires that the boys have not actually seen the video, so they're just basically just seen the video. And then from there on, it's the whole thing of Slender Man just steadily creeping in on them and abducting them. The main reason I said that it's in particular not a great film is it doesn't really sort of creep you out, really. It has like a few like weird psychedelic moments in it, but it's like the main thing of Slender Man is he'll like go up and like basically kidnap kids and whatnot, and there's like all like the missing children things going on, and like obviously they steadily go missing one by one. But that's really all there is to it. It's not, you know, I like to compare it to like other horror films relating like abductions such as It or whatever. But it didn't really make me feel like I've just watched a horror film. It just made me feel like I made like some sort of like college project or whatever. Like the acting wasn't great, to be honest. Like the CG was a bit sketchy at parts as well. Would I recommend anyone to watch it? I mean, if you like to physically see like the creepypasta side of it sort of come in like film form, then it might be worth it if you're that sort of like invest in Slenderman. But for someone who just wants to find like a quick horror flick to go through because for a quick scare, like, you're not going to find it in Slenderman.
Probably similar. Or, I don't know about. I think maybe there's a bit more scares, but I think some reviews for the new Five Nights at Freddy's film, I know that's not how. I think reviews it's been a bit mixed. Although one of my workmates came in this morning, and the first thing he said to me was like, "Oh, I saw it this weekend and it was good." But I was like, "Well, I'm not interested in it personally." But it's probably a bit similar, where it's like trying to adapt a horror game, and the thing is with like, you know, it's a horror game for a reason because of the way you play it, and that's why it's scary. And bringing that to, you know, the big screen isn't like not really how the scares are intended.
It's exactly the same thing for like the film Slenderman. Like the whole point of the game is like you find these pages and like you gradually feel like whatever is happening is like slowly creeping up on you or whatever. But ultimately that doesn't really like come to anything in the films. Like obviously you know what's going to happen because Slenderman is there, but it doesn't really, like, you know, spoiler alert, even though it's like 5 years old, the film, everyone gets caught like gradually. But it doesn't feel like there's going to be like some sort of mega climax. It's just like a slow burn up until the end. You're like, oh, well, that's that then. Unlike, you know, again, comparing it to It, like as soon as you got to the end of It, you know, there was that showdown, and you felt like, oh, come on, like power of friendship prevails, whatever. But no, it was just literally just a slow burn, fizzled to nothing. And
I've never seen It either.
Honestly, original It, the Tim Curry one, is a cult classic for its reasons. But the new one gives that better, you know, visual, like helps stimulate like visually what Pennywise probably would have been like, rather than this weird sort of Ronald McDonald ripoff. But if you feel the same way, Chris, I know we spoke about it before.
The It films, the first ones I find boring. The first remake I think is pretty decent. And I haven't seen the other one, but I heard it was pants, so I never bothered.
I wouldn't say it's pants. Like obviously it's not as good as number one, because number one really, you know, set the scene and everything.
Well, I think probably what makes the first one is discovering the mystery, and then the second one, like part of that mystery has already been unraveled, and it's just them all coming back. And like I think what I heard, where it was like, I think you or is this what you said in like the It Part 2? It was just like, we do this character, then this character, then this character, then this character, and then there's Pennywise done, or something like that.
I can't remember that. I've slept since then.
I it might have been you or someone. I think it was you said that, but I could be wrong. I know we've all been to bed since then, but I don't know. I think it was you, but I can't remember. But yeah.
Yeah. So that was my very brief overview of Slenderman. You know, being a massive fan of the creepypasta period when that was like really kicking off on YouTube, I was like, okay, you know, I know when I got into the creepypasta scene, I was like, oh, I really want to, you know, have a good Slenderman one. But until they get like proper big sort of budgeting for like what they did for like some of the, I need to call them Stephen Hawking's books, but they're not Stephen King. If they get some budgeting behind it and make it like the proper effects and everything, and, you know, getting like, you know, not slating the actors, but if they can get some like big shot names into it and get the, you know, the hype behind it and everything, and get the investments, it probably would be like a cool concept to go forwards with.
So would you say the talent on offer in the film was a bit slender?
It was a bit slender, yeah. No pun intended.
That's the joke. I just wanted to get that in somewhere. That was probably funnier than anything in the film.
Probably.
Yeah, it literally was. There's nothing in the film had going for it. There's like romance kick-offs and...
You want to talk about a good movie?
Yeah, speak about some good movies. Have you guys seen any good movies?
Yes.
Many. I've seen many good movies over my many years of life.
Okay, the past fortnight, have you seen any good movies?
No.
Yeah, I have. And it's a new one, so it's relevant.
And what's that?
All right, so the film I have watched is one that came to Amazon Prime, time recording like last week. It says the 11th of September on my IMDb. I'm not sure how accurate that is because I don't recall seeing it before that, but whatever. I watched a film called The Burial, which stars Jamie Foxx and Tommy Lee Jones. And I tell you what, that's two people I didn't think I'd see in a film together, but I'm really glad I did. The acting in this is top notch. Jamie Foxx is outstanding, as is Tommy Lee Jones. but Jamie Foxx in particular. He is really charismatic. So let me tell you this film. One, it's based on a true story. So this stuff supposedly happened. Obviously, it's a film. It's been romanticized. It's been hyped up.
Yeah.
But from what I can gather, it is relatively true to life. Obviously, it's mostly courtroom drama. So you know what happens in the courtroom ain't going to stand up to how it is in real life.
Yeah.
As the YouTube Legal Eagle says, if you were to watch a film in an actual courtroom, you'd be bored shitless. Or paraphrasing. I don't think he actually said that. But you get my drift. But for legal reasons, that's a joke. Alright, so the burial is... when do I start? Jamie Foxx plays an attorney called Willie E. Gary, who was a lawyer who actually specialised more in personal injury law, and is a very, very real figure. And this film's set in like 95, so it's not like too old. Although saying that, he's nearly 30 years old, which is fucking terrifying to think of. And he defends Tommy Lee Jones's character, Jerry O'Keefe. Jerry O'Keefe runs a firm of like burial homes, crematoriums, that kind of thing. And he enters a like verbal agreement with a bigger firm called the Lowen Group, who agree to buy some of his locations to help him out. So they get a piece of the pie, and he gets some money because basically Jerry's firm is slowly but surely going down the toilet. Now what happens is Lowen Group enters a verbal agreement and say they're going to buy stuff, but they start stalling. They are quite literally waiting for Tommy Lee Jones to peg it. Which obviously they're not allowed to do that. But on is a recommendation of a lawyer he hires. Oh, sorry, not a lawyer. Well, yeah, kind of a lawyer. He says he should go hire Willie E. Gary, who doesn't do this kind of thing, but thinks it will be a challenge for him. And at this point in time, Willie E. Gary had never lost a case, and he is a bit of a showman. At the beginning of the film, it shows him in like a sort of a black gospel like choir, like leading the sermon. So you know the kind of personality he's going for. He's big, he's boisterous, he's got money, he's got the loud attitude in the good way. He can sell it. Right. So basically, it's them teaming up to try and get this lawsuit sorted. And I know ultimately courtroom dramas might sound pretty boring, but it's all the acting. Like Jamie Foxx is like character, and Tommy Lee Jones is more like sedate old white dude persona. They don't like clash. They sort of get on like really well, which you'd expect. Oh yeah, they're not going to see eye to eye, because it's like the film is sold as a bit of a comedy, and it does have funny bits in it. But no, they don't take that route. They do have a few other characters, which I think were things that came up in the original case, because it's like based on a true story. And it's just fascinating watching it unfold, because even though this is a case that happens and you could go look to see what happens, it's not a case I was familiar with. So I didn't know how it was going to go, whether they're going to like win or lose or come to some other conclusion. But for how well it's acted, it's just captivating to watch it. Like the film's 2 hours, it just flies by. Like, honestly, it didn't drag at all.
You saying, courtroom drama is, you found it entertaining. It just made me think of Better Call Saul, and even all the courtroom bits on that were gripping. I still remember, I think it's in season 3, isn't it, where there's an episode where it's just the trial between Jimmy and Chuck, and it's one of the best episodes in the entire series. Oh,
is that the one where he plants the phone in his pocket? Yeah. It does have that air about it. It's like Bob Odenkirk wouldn't have been out of place in this.
So you say, oh no, it's, but then you have stuff like that where, and it's just doing more like the burial's doing the same thing as Better Call Saul, when that does courtroom stuff, from the sounds of it, from what you're saying. Yeah,
pretty much. Like it's got a similar kind of thing with Better Call Saul. How it does take itself seriously, because it is like a true story, but there are lines in it that are there just to make you laugh.
Oh yeah, of course.
It just comes off. One of them, let's see if I can remember this correctly. One of the lines that just made me laugh, which came out of nowhere, was oh, did I ever tell you you've got the same size balls as a garden slug? He's like, that's an insult I've never heard before. I'm going to use that. Yeah, the burial. So reviews for this, like Rotten Tomatoes, are giving it like 91%, so that's pretty high. 7.1 on IMDb, 4.7 out of 5 on Amazon. So yeah, it's got fairly good reviews across the board. I highly recommend you give this one a go, guys.
Mm.
For me, this came out of nowhere. I didn't know anything about it. I just seen it when I was scrolling through Amazon Prime and thought, I like both Tommy Lee Jones and Jamie Foxx, and that looks quite entertaining. And we are very glad we watched it because we both enjoyed it.
Nice. Oh. Brandon, do you want to speak about the other Insidious films, or are you just going to not?
We've been the other Insidious films, so I'll not even mention the first one. But okay.
Say you're like, I watched four, and then nothing.
Yeah, but I didn't want to keep talking for too long, because otherwise,
true.
I can't hog the limelight for too long. But yeah, as Dan, spoiler alert, said, talking about more Insidious films, I've seen the first 3 installments of the Insidious franchise. So Insidious Chapter 1, 2, and 3. In total, there are 5 films in it, but currently on Netflix, there are only 1, 2, and 3 on there. So that's why I've only seen 1, 2, and 3. How much do you guys know about the Insidious films?
Am I getting this? Is the latest one the Red Room?
Yes.
Okay, it is the franchise I'm thinking of. Yeah. I can't remember what the main guy is, or that actor's called, but I think he's a decent actor because he was in Watchmen as I can't remember what the character's name is, but the owl superhero who's basically Batman.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember what he's called, but yeah, he's a good actor.
But essentially, so for those of you who don't know anything about the Insidious films, I went into this not knowing anything. Obviously, I've seen as you see the image of Insidious 1, you see the demon with the red and black face, or the red face demon, the lipstick demon, whatever, demon with fire on his face, whatever. So I thought, okay, it's going to be something about possession and whatnot. And yes, it was about like possessions. It was about obviously spirits, demons, and whatever. But I didn't expect the main sort of premise of the Insidious films to be about psychics and projection. So as I was watching Insidious, I was just like, hang on a minute, I've seen this somewhere. Where have I seen this before? Oh yeah, I've seen it on Stranger Things. So the main synopsis of Insidious 1 is you've got Dalton, a young boy who goes up into the attic and falls off and injures his head. And then a few days later, he then slips into a coma. After parents trying to figure out what's wrong, and some really strange events happening around the house, such as things moving, things talking in the night, things screaming at Callie the baby. They think, okay, the house is haunted. So then they get over some like equivalent of the Ghostbusters to try and figure out what's going on. And after contacting another person called Elise, it transpires that the reason why all these otherworldly things are happening is because Dalton is actually projected himself into the realm called the Further. So rather than being called the Upside Down, it's called the Further, where it's essentially the realm between the living and the dead. So almost like a purgatory in a way. And in doing so, Dalton has exposed himself and drawn attention to the lipstick demon who's trying to take over his body. And it then also transpires that his dad was also a gifted projector, and they have to basically get his dad to go back into the Further, find Dalton, retrieve him and whatnot. But along the way, the reason why Josh forgot that he is a gifted projector is because he was constantly tormented by the Bride in Black, who is a murderer, once died, ended up in the Further, and after going out finding Dalton, retrieving him, the Bride in Black follows him back. End of Insidious 1.
So essentially, this is just alternative movie Stranger Things.
Yeah, essentially, it's if you go to this other world, you're basically bringing. Like if you're a fan of Stranger Things, you'll like Insidious. It's got that same sort of crossover thing. It's literally like psychics and this extra world full of darkness.
I'm assuming because it's a horror film, is far scarier than Stranger Things, which Stranger Things isn't really that scary.
Now, Stranger Things is more of just a general sci-fi or thriller, more of a thriller, yeah.
I just point out it's made me laugh, Brandon, how you said he's a talented projector. I think you mean talented projectionist. If it's a talented projector, it'd just be a literal projector.
Yeah, he's very good at taking acetate sheets and putting them on the wall.
And his mother was a very good-looking washing machine as well.
The kids must be tumble dryers.
One other thing, the actor's name you were looking for was Patrick Wilson.
Yes.
I've seen the first Insidious film.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen the other two. Or whatever. I keep getting Insidious mixed up with The Conjuring because I watched that as well and I thought, meh.
I think that's what I'm getting
mixing up in my head. Yeah, I thought you were about the same thing earlier. It's like because they came out about the same time, didn't they?
Yeah, there was a lot of hype for both of them.
Is the nun part of The Conjuring?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's why I'm getting... Who's the main character in The Conjuring? I know now, like, switching.
I can find out.
I don't know.
To the YouTube. Not YouTube.
To the Googles. To the Wikipedia. I don't know. It has... If it's on
My
Wikipedia,
PC
it must be right.
Okay, no, it's fine.
Oh, wait, I think I'm singing that.
Conjuring, none.
Conjuring is Patrick Wilson.
He gets about, doesn't he?
Oh, that doesn't fucking help.
Insidious guys. It's Patrick Wilson. Yeah, that's. I think that's why I get them confused.
Yeah, that would be...
I think if we can take away anything from this, if you see Patrick Wilson, stay very far away from him because it's not going to end well.
Yeah, he gets possessed a lot.
Yeah, as you say, he's in fucking both of them. That don't fucking... What? Alright, okay. Fair enough.
Just to throw another spanner in the works, there's another film very similarly titled, which I also get mixed up with these ones. The one with Ethan Hawke in it, Sinister. That came around the same time.
Has it also got Patrick Wilson in it?
No, it's got Ethan Hawke. Patrick Wilson's safe from that one.
No, I can't remember what... Yeah. Well, what's the second one like?
Okay, so the first one is just the gimmick, and the main thing is revolving the lipstick demon, and then you've also been drip fed the little bit of information about the bride in black. Because as you get towards the end of the first film, obviously you showed as Josh basically threw Dalton to basically recover Dalton. Josh then gets distracted and finds the bride in black in a mirror, and he's basically telling him, "Go away," and eventually he comes to. It later transpires that it wasn't Josh who returned to his body; it was the bride in black, who's now taken over Josh's body and murders Elise. And then thus, that's the end of... the reason why Elise knew straight away that it was the bride in black, because he looked at Josh's hand and it wasn't his normal gentle hand. It was this old man's hand-ish. Takes a picture, and rather than taking a picture of Josh, it's the bride in black. There you go, end of part 1. Then we come to Insidious Chapter 2, which now revolves around Josh's family trying to get him back and get rid of the bride in black. I can't remember her name. The main lady, I can't remember her name.
Patrick Wilson?
No, not Patrick Wilson. I can't remember the name of the wife. Fuck. Anyway, she then reaches out to try and find another psychic to try and help the situation, and he brings out Carl. And after using their medium powers, it turns out that the bride in black was a man. So it was like, okay, so a serial killing man. They then go to the place where it all started, which was his home, and his mum basically abused him, telling him that your name is not this, it's this, you are my daughter, you are not my son. So basically pressurizing him conforming him into the way that she wants him to be. And obviously when you get children who become pressurized like that, forced upon, they do, well, most of the time psychologically they will be challenged, and they might choose like a violent path, which is what has happened in this case. And then once he's passed away, he then became the bride in black killer. So the whole purpose of this one is now recovering Josh from the other world and the extra stories of all that. If I was to compare number 2 to number 1, number 2 answers a lot of the interesting questions that came about in number 1. So like, why was Josh a talented projectionist, not a projector? And then there's also some scenes in number 1 which didn't really make sense. Like there was a flashback where we went to like Josh being young, and Josh starts talking to himself, like saying, "I can show you over there." And then in number 2, it transpires that it was actually Josh has like sort of projected himself into the past and saw kid Josh, asking kid Josh where the bride in black. Gets a bit confusing there. I was like, okay, this is a bit weird, because like since when was time travel a thing? Like, I don't know. But then overall they defeat the bride in black and recover Josh back. It turns more into, like The Shining. He starts to go a bit loopy and tries to go after his family. Like literally the end of the film is basically The Shining, but without the bit where it goes, "Here's Johnny," it's "Here's Josh."
Here's Patrick.
Here's Patrick. Not Patrick Star. Patrick Wilson. Yes, but that's Insidious 2. And then we come to Insidious Chapter 3, which I don't know why they called it Chapter 3. So you've got Chapter 1 and 2, which follow chronologically. But then Chapter 3 is actually probably Insidious 0, because it comes before Insidious 1. Because it's essentially what happened a year or so before the events of Insidious 1, where Elise forms this sort of ghost-busting squad, and they've got to save this young girl from what I'm going to call the oil demon, or the man who can't breathe. Yeah, I think that's the name of it. So her mum passed away, and she's been like trying to contact her mum to try and help her get into acting school. But unknowingly, rather than contacting her mum in the further, she's actually contacted by the man who can't breathe, who's a really sort of nasty demon who wants to take over her body. And the more she tries to contact her mum, the more closer this demon gets. She then gets hit by a car, breaks her legs, breaks her back, breaks everything. So she's essentially bedbound, and you've got this demon now terrorizing her while she's bedbound. And then again, it's like, bring out Elise. Elise finds the ghost-busting people, and they sort of solve the issues of this oil demon. And that's essentially Insidious 1, 2, and 3. They're following on each other with the same sort of ideas, but it's a bit confusing in what's happening overall. Like, why was time travel introduced in number 2? That didn't really make sense. Why is Insidious 3 technically Insidious 0.5? Like, why is it set before the whole event? Why couldn't they just call it something else like they've done with the more recent Insidious films? But overall, if you're a fan of horror, the Insidious films, I wouldn't say they're scary by any means. Like, they play more on jump scares rather than a build up of tension. Like, it's always that just jump scare of. But the thing is, the jump scares most of the time are predictable. You know exactly what's going to happen. It's not like in like The Hills of Eyes, where it's that famous scene of where you lay in bed and all of a sudden you've got the mutant there next to you in bed or whatever. But it just plays on the jump scares rather than anything else. Good watch overall. I had a really good time watching them. Finished them all over literally the weekend. And yeah, if you're a fan of horrors and you just want something like a little horror series just to keep you going for about 4 or 5 hours, check out Insidious.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of horror films, so I don't know. I say that. Someone I know who wasn't a fan of horror films, he's watching horror films more now for certain reasons. So I was like, it could all change, but generally I'm not a big horror film person.
Fair enough. Yeah, they're not for everyone, but yeah, it was overall. I did like it. It was a weekend well spent.
As you know, the last couple of episodes I've been talking about manga by Tatsuki Fujimoto. I finally read his final one-shot that I hadn't read. This one is called Goodbye Eri. It came out just before Chainsaw Man Part 2 started. So I read it in one sitting yesterday, and look back, it's really good. It's quite interesting. The way it's drawn, this is a weird comparison, but it reminds me of Peep Show.
How? That is a very interesting take for a Tatsuki Fujimoto manga. How is it like?
Well, without showing you, you won't understand. I can describe it as best I can. There's 2 gimmicks with this manga and the way it's drawn. So the first, and the way it's laid out, is the majority of the pages are are all 4 panels, all rectangular panels. Obviously, he will do big 2-panel pages or just 1 panel. So, but the majority of the pages are 4 rectangular panels. It doesn't really change compared to when you read a lot of other manga where it's just this. The gimmick of it's very much set out the same, because a lot of what this story is about or is set in first person with a guy recording using a smartphone, and so a lot of it, some of the the drawings are like fuzzy, as if it's being recorded. That's what I kind of mean when I say like Peep Show, or it's in the way Peep Show's first person, or is it? I don't know if you've seen the film Chronicle. It's a bit like that. It's more than just the fact it's like camera or a first person.
Okay, I thought you meant like a mild British comedy.
No. Goodbye Eri is not a comedy at all. Well, it's Tatsuki Fujimoto, so you're gonna get a few laughs. But Goodbye Eri is about a guy called Yuta who, from a young age, gets tasked to record his mum because his mum is dying. So he records his mum's life up to her dying days, and then as on the day of her death, as she's in the hospital, he can't face her. And he starts to run, and then the hospital explodes. And then it turns out it's all a film. Well, it's not, but it turns out he's comprised all the videos into a film of his mum's life, and he made up the end of the hospital exploding. And from there, he gets bullied at school. Everyone hates his film because, you know, he's like, despite initially it being like, oh, like a kind of love letter to his dying mum, it like confuses a lot of people, and they hate it for the explosion at the end. And, you know, he's about to commit suicide, and then he meets a girl called Eri, and things change. It's definitely got that, a lot of what especially Chainsaw Man Part 2 has, with incredible female written characters. It has more of that. It's still got everything you expect from Tatsuki Fujimoto in the way it's written, like the way it's drawn. It's just another great one shot by Tatsuki Fujimoto. Personally, I think I prefer Look Back, but like the 2 one shots he wrote before Chainsaw Man Part 2 are 2 of his best works. I don't know, what can I say? He's a great mangaka, and what I've heard recently is that near all of his assistants who have then gone on to do their own manga, those manga have been absolute sublime as well. I think I sent you the meme of the cow and the spaceship, didn't I, Brandon?
Yes. Oh, was that from Goodbye Eri?
No. That's Dan Da Dan. That is written by one of Tatsuki Fujimoto's assistants.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there's another one as well, because it was mentioned on the new Trash Taste episode, but I can't remember what it is. So yeah, it's clear that Tatsuki Fujimoto definitely inspires some interesting manga, and he has a lot of interesting ideas. I think what I love, now I've read, except for Fire Punch, I've read everything he's done. I just love that it's so diverse, because I remember I read a one shot by, is it Hiro Mashima who does Fairy Tail? Yeah, and the one shot I read was just like Fairy Tail. It just was exactly the fucking same. It was like, I don't know. I think what I like with Tatsuki Fujimoto is he's trying new things with each one shot he writes, and not just each one shot. Everything he writes, whether it's a series or a one shot, he's trying something new, even if, you know, it might not work. At least he's trying to do something different. It never feels like it's the same thing again, you know. Even, let's take, although he didn't draw it, but Samurai 8 by Kishimoto, who did Naruto. Samurai 8 felt like that, just to a certain degree, sci-fi Naruto, and it just didn't really work. It had in the first quarter was quite fun, and then it just got really boring. You know, and I feel that's the problem. I feel like you should really try and do different things, and I think that's why I like Tatsuki Fujimoto so much. Everything just feels different and an evolution of what he'd done before. But then I've not read Fire Punch yet, so I don't know. But at some point I will. But yeah, Goodbye Eri is great. Still think Look Back's better, and yeah, Chainsaw Man's his best work.
Chainsaw Man's the dog.
You mean the goat?
Top dog.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I read.
Cool. Anything else in your guys' agendas?
I got Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh, you've converted.
What do you mean I
Well,
converted?
not converted, but you
What
got
do you
it
mean
eventually.
converted?
I meant got it eventually.
Yeah, I was like, I was umming and ahhing, and then, well, I was going to get it physically, and then I realised you can't. And so I was like, oh, well, I'm just going to fucking buy it then. And yeah, I know you spoke about it, but you only did the tutorial, and I've played like quite a lot more. So I picked a Dragonborn sorcerer because I cannot play my D&D character because the race does not exist in Baldur's Gate 3. Well, it probably does exist, but well, it exists in the world of Dungeons and Dragons, but you can't play it. So, and I'm like, the gimmick of my D&D character is he's a 12-year-old boy, but I can't, I can't roleplay that in Baldur's Gate 3 where every character wants to sleep with you, because that just doesn't work with my D&D character. So I was like, right, I'll pick a different D&D character I have. And so I picked my Dragonborn Sorcerer, and I literally got the stats on D&D Beyond and did it exactly to that. And I don't really do magic classes, I'll be honest. It doesn't matter, even in D&D or any other games, I don't really do magic. But I'm really enjoying it so far. Might sound I'm stating the obvious, but Baldur's Gate 3 literally plays like actual D&D. I know that literally sounds like I'm stating the fucking obvious.
You are.
I know. Obviously, there's you are on a bit slight rails with how the story takes you, but I say on rails. It's not really. There's a lot of freedom to do anything and everything, but like each act you have a goal, and it's got a bit of how in like the Telltale games where you'll make decisions and characters are like, oh, they didn't like that. It's got a lot of that, because I've now got a full party of characters. Although I want to get the barbarian, but I don't know how to get her yet. That's the tiefling barbarian that everyone loves, so that's why I want to get that character. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Like, the story so far is really keeping me interested, although I'm not that far. You got a lot of different characters, and like what I do like is even if you get a new character, they're already bumped to the same level that you are. So you don't need to be like, oh, right, I need to swap out a character to train another character. It's like, no. As soon as you add them to your party, they're the exact same level. So, which is quite good. Like the environments, just the way the game looks is absolutely stunning. Each cutscene and conversation with characters, just there's a lot of different ways to go about them. You can use essentially just use any of the D&D skill checks where you can persuade, use deception, all that. I know like I said, it sounds obvious, but it just plays like it's just D&D, but a video game where you can play on your own, where the actual video game is the DM. That's I don't know, that's the best way I can describe it, but it's just so fun. I'm like,
it has different endings as well, depending on your actions. And it's also got like a meme ending with the Dark Urge.
Like, I'm not even surprised it's like the highest rated game of the year. It doesn't even surprise me, and I'm not even that far, and I can understand why. Yeah, like it. I'm absolutely enjoying it. I was literally playing it just before we recorded. I literally got into a combat. I was like, oh fuck! As soon as I finish, I'll finish the combat. But no, it's great. So far, the companions I've got is the fighter, the wizard, the rogue, and the cleric. So I don't think I'm gonna get the sorcerer, but I don't know, because the sorcerer's a dragonborn sorcerer, so I don't know if I get that or not. But we'll see. But there's even like making your own character. The customization is just ridiculous. I spent so long trying to decide what I wanted to play as, and then designing my character. But I'm pretty happy. I could see myself maybe beating this game and then just restarting with a different class and character. And just doing that, I think I could have endless fun. I could see myself putting like 1,000 hours into this game over the course of like multiple years.
If the character customization is that great, can you play as a talented projector?
Yeah, can you play as Patrick Wilson?
You can play as Patrick Wilson.
I suppose, yeah, you can literally make yourself a character like a human race called Patrick Wilson.
We are Patrick, for we are many.
No, like I said, really enjoying it. I'm still in the first act. I was talking to someone on the weekend, and it was like, yeah, the first act is the best act. There's 3 acts. I think each of them is like minimum 40 plus hours each act. I think I'm looking at 40 to 50 hours minimum for each act, which is just ridiculous.
It is a beefy game.
Yeah, I think that's the only problem. It's just such a long game to finish. But hopefully I'll play enough to know where I stand for it for Game of the Year. Pretty much what I'm playing at the moment. Although I know I need to start playing Miles Morales so I can play Spider-Man 2 before I start getting spoilers for Spider-Man 2. But look, the only thing I have been spoiled about Spider-Man 2 is it has my favourite Spider-Man suit in. So that's a good spoiler to know that when I eventually play it and unlock that suit, I will be happy for the rest of the game. Yeah, that's Baldur's Gate 3. I can understand why it's the highest rated game this year. I think we're into our topic, unless there's anything else. Chris?
Yeah, are you all up
I
for
can
Chris?
very, very quickly talk about the first two Turok games.
Yes, please.
Go on then. So, on the N64, there were a couple of first-person shooter games, which held up really well. And then they carried on with the series, and the games got progressively worse. And now it's like a series you just don't really hear of anymore. Did you guys ever play Turok, Dinosaur Hunter, back in the day?
No,
I've heard of it, but never played it, because I know it's an infamous game engine, per se.
I'll be honest, I've literally just booted up my Switch Online to have a look at it on, unless it's not on here.
I've played it on PlayStation myself because
Oh.
I got a bundle for like 2 games. I was looking at the Halloween stuff, and like one of the sale things was like the Turok games, like 1 and 2 for £7. And it's like, oh man, I love those games.
Yeah,
At least I did. I don't know how well they held up. I thought, you know what, they're games I want to stream at some point in the future, but trying to get the N64 up and running might be a bit of a crapshoot. Sorry, I'll just download the new ones, which have been like the games are like the same, but they've been like given like a sort of HD sort of upscaled, and obviously you got modern controls.
Oh, yeah.
Which is lovely. So I'm really glad they did that, because the first game in particular has a lot of platforming with like instant death pits and like platforms that are really, really like small and tight, and there's a lot of it. And trying to think about playing this game in the N64 with a 1 analog stick brings me out into a cold sweat. It's like, good Lord, this is difficult as it is, because trying to do it with 1 analog stick is like you move half the time and then you sort of aim at the other half of the time. So it's like you can do one or the other, and particularly you do in both games, but particularly in the first game, you move so fast. Like, it gives Doom Guy a run for his money. Like, quite literally a run for his money. Now you like shit off a shovel. Like, you're like 0 to 16.2 femtoseconds. This goes. Which is obviously what makes the platforming difficult as well, because you overshoot or undershoot a lot. But the games themselves do surprisingly hold up well through all these years. As I say, the modern controls help. So there's a wide weapon variety, especially in the second one. I may as well lump both the games together because they do play very similarly. Well, I never beat these games as a kid. One, because they were difficult, not just because of like the instant death pits, but they did not help, which they sort of didn't quite do away with in the second one, but there's way less of them, or they're a bit more forgiving, like they've put like acid pits down instead, so you take damage rather than die instantly. Yeah, so high weapon variety is quite a wide variety of enemies to take down as well, so there's plenty of content. The games are surprisingly big for what they are. Each level is sort of fairly open, and in both games there's like a sort of central hub, and you have to collect keys in each stage to open up like the next one. And I think there's about 8 levels a piece in both of them. I think it's 7 in the second one, 8 in the first one. And each level is like pretty open, a bit like Mario 64 in a strange way, because like you can go off for an offshoot and try and get the key, like by doing a sort of gauntlet or trial or just exploring. But some of them are really well tucked away, like they feel like this should be a secret, but no, it's like the critical path. To the point at one point I had to get a guide to try and find one of the keys. As both games have like a good and a bad ending, like a good one for like finding everything and a bad one for finishing the game without finding everything. I can see why I never beat it when I was younger, because trying to find the keys is not easy, and some of the ways you go around it is not straightforward either. The second one more so, because it does kind of like a GoldenEye thing where it gives you like mission objectives as well, like or blow up the silo or rescue children, that kind of thing. So again, younger, dumber me couldn't quite work out that you didn't just run around and shoot things. You had to do something else, which is why I never got very far. It's like, oh, I have to do other things as well. Oh, damn, that's me screwed. Honestly, for the price, I got them for £7. They were on offer, but I don't think they're too dear anyway, like 15 quid for both games. if you want a sort of not quite retro but old school first person shooter, you can do a far lot worse than Turok. And the value for money, because both games are fairly long, and as a bundle deal, yeah, it'll keep you going for a week or two if you play them back to back. Yeah. And they're both good games, and I'm just so happy to play an couple of old games that do hold up. I thought I'll boot another and say, "This is shit. This is just awful. Like, how can you play this?" But no, they do play very well, and there's enough variety to keep you ticking over. But yeah, Turret 1 and 2 recommend. As for the ones on the GameCube and that, I'll get around to them eventually. See if they're as bad as everyone says they were. I've got Turok Evolution on GameCube, but I've not booted it up for like 20 years. So Lord knows if it's any good or not. But I'll see. Future me will find out.
Well, the main reason I said, but as soon as you start talking about Turok, is that it's got an infamous game engine. Do you remember like the old like Duke Nukem games, or I think it's Duke Nukem?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's also one of my favorite Nintendo 64 games, Armorines. They all use that same Turok engine. I'm pretty certain Armorines uses the Turok engine to make the games.
Okay.
Yeah, so
well,
it's definitely
that is surprising. Knowing what Duke Nukem 3D looks like and knowing what Turok looks like, they can't be the same engine.
I'm pretty certain it's Duke Nukem. There's a certain game which used quite a few like shooting games.
Maybe you're right, but I
Turok
don't
engine.
think so. They look too wildly different. Turok's 3D for starters. Duke Nukem 3D isn't, despite the title. Well, kind of anyway. I mean, maybe you're right. I don't know.
Let me just have a look at Turok 1 just to remind myself.
They
Yeah,
look
definitely
radically
Armorines.
different.
100% Armorines uses the same engine. If you get like a split of Turok and Armorines, are exactly the same. Oh yeah, there's a Turok remastered game on the Xbox One as well.
Yeah, I think it's just the same version. It's a spin-up scale.
Yeah, it's funny that you started playing Turok, because if there was ever a classic game to come out and it's Armorines, I'd 100% pick it up. I don't even care if it's full price, like 15 quid at the time. I would just love to be able to play that game again without cheats as a child, because there's no way as a child I could complete Armorines without cheats.
Yeah, as I say, I didn't use any cheats now, but back in the day, there's no way I could have beat these games as a kid. They're just too difficult. I tell you what, the second one does have a save anywhere function, whereas the first one uses more of a traditional sort of not quite checkpoint, but like save point things. But they're quite spread out.
Fair enough. Were you happy that you got to play these again?
I am actually. There's like a little bit of nostalgia that tickled me, because these are games I never beat. So there's quite a few games I've played this year which I've never beat back in the day, but now I have, and now I've instantly forgotten which ones they were.
Fair. I've had like a nostalgia for. I've been wanting to play Dynasty Warriors 4 for a while again.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to set my PS2 back up and play it again. Just to probably just play it for an hour and that'll be it. But I just wanted to play it again. That's just I don't know why, but I just want to have there's just one level I want to play, and I don't know. I think it's just I just keep imagining that level. I think it's the second level. It's piss easy. I just want to play it. I just need to plug my PS2 up again, and then there we go. I'll play it and then won't play it for a long time again.
Get your fix.
Yeah, that's it.
Here's an incredibly off-tangent little factoid, since I was just talking about the N64.
Yeah.
Very briefly, the Bumble theme song is only 58 seconds.
Yeah.
I thought it was a full song. It's only 58 seconds, that's it.
No, I can quite believe it's just a loop of what about now it's time to run with the...
Yeah, I thought it was like a full 3-minute song. I was like, no, it's 58 seconds.
No, I think
Less
it's
than a
because
minute.
we just
That's
sit
it.
on the main menu with it playing.
Yeah, pretty much. I was just surprised. I was going to post it to someone for a joke, but I decided against it. And I seen it was only 58 seconds. Like, oh, is that it? Have I found the right one?
Everyone's childhood.
I'm sorry. I do that on a weekly basis. Nothing new. Well, I suppose I like to ruin children's childhoods because, well, children's childhood, adults' childhoods as
Oh,
well.
my
Everyone,
gosh.
fuck it. I'm not picky whose life I ruin, because I'm a bit of a villain at heart.
Well, that's a nice smooth transition there. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
It is. I tell you what, video games, they've got villains in them, haven't they?
They do. They have many great villains.
There's at least one.
Oh yeah.
It's right. Honestly, I was a bit of a hot take here. That comment you just said, video games have many great villains. So before recording the podcast, we all tried to brainstorm, what we would consider as the greatest video game villains of all time. And you say there's a lot, but without referring to the mainstream ones for obvious reasons, are there actually that many?
There are, but I think the problem is there's just because you got like your Dr. Eggman, you got your Bowsers, you got your Sephiroths, and Like, you got a bunch of them, and it's like, boom, there you go. They're good villains, although, well, you know, and they're all popular and all the obvious picks. So, you know, I think all three of us will be like, yes, Bowser's a good villain. Yes, in some games, Bowser's not as good. In other games, Bowser's great. But Bowser is an iconic villain. Same with Dr. Eggman. I think we can all say safely stuff like that. And I think what we want to bring up is villains that you naturally wouldn't think of, or you wouldn't be obvious.
Point of contention. In this house, we call him Dr. Robotnik.
Yep. I know, that is his actual name. It's like Princess Toadstool.
Yep, Peach.
Yep.
So, guys, now that we've already cleared the air and said some of the mainstream villains, do you want to talk more about why said villains are popular, or should we just move on to our niche picks?
Oh,
no. Bye, everyone.
What? What?
But no, I don't want to talk about him anymore. That's it. End of the episode. We're going to talk about villains. We've just mentioned some.
Chris don't like mainstream villains.
I think Chris is being a villain.
I'm twirling my moustache on off camera because there's no camera.
I can't even twirl a moustache because I shaved last week.
If only I had a talented projector here to film this.
Yeah, but fake tash on.
Brandon.
Fake tashy. No.
What?
Right, let's start this again. Right. So this question came about initially because one of my loyal Twitch chatters, shout out to Shadowbeam. Hello, Shadowbeam. I know you're listening. That's freaked you out, hasn't it? Asked the question. It's like, oh, have you done an episode on video game villains? And I was like, yeah, we've been recording for like nearly 3 years. Of course we've done video game villains. And then I thought about it for like 30 seconds. Like, actually, we haven't done an episode on video game villains. How the hell have we not done that? It's such a simple topic. How have we not done that? So here we are. Yeah, we're changing it now. And then in like a year's time, they'll ask me again. I'll completely forget and go, no, we didn't do it. And then think, oh wait, no, we did. Okay, start again.
So
anyhow, yeah.
What?
So what have you guys got?
A cold? No.
It's personal.
I don't know. What should I mention? Because I don't know what's a good one to mention first.
Well, I've got one to mention because you've briefly spoke about it already.
What's
today.
that?
You said you want to play Dynasty Warriors.
Okay.
So from, obviously, depending on the player's perspective, you'll have different ideas of who the villains are. But quite often when you're playing like the Dynasty Warriors games, people quite often say that, you know, Lu Bu is a villain because he's like one of the hardest ones, but he's not really a villain. He's just basically a boss. But if we're looking in terms of characters with just sheer sort of like villainous air, I'd like to say maybe Cao Cao, or depending on which game you play, Cao Cao.
Yeah, I think, because, well, see, it's all historical because Wu and Shu go against Wei.
Yeah.
And if I'm remembering correctly, doesn't Wei defeat them actually in history? And then
actually in history, Wei's overthrown by Jin.
Yeah, that's what I was about to get to. I believe Wei ultimately beats them, and then Jin defeats Wei.
No, Wei's I think one of the first ones to collapse. Shu is one of the last remaining ones.
Oh, is it?
Liu Chan. Yeah, so Liu Chan basically kept up Shu.
Right, because I know.
I'm not sure if Wu was the first one to get defeated by Jin.
I think.
I can't remember which way around it was. It might have been.
I think Wu probably is the first one. It makes the most sense. Because I know which was it. Dynasty Warriors 7 was the first one that brought in Jin.
Yeah, which really like made me go, what? Like it literally. As soon as they brought that out, I was like, this is amazing. Another sort of lineage to play.
Like Cao Cao or Cao Cao, he is very intimidating throughout, the franchise as the head of Wei. I can see where you're coming from.
One of the reasons I say this as well, because I've mentioned Tokyo Underworld manga before, and the section I've just finished reading had Cao Cao as one of the executioners in Tokyo Underworld. So I thought, okay, this is quite cool as well. But yeah, I think very iconic battles like the Battle of Red Cliff, where he what's it called? Not Changba, where they escape.
Chibi.
What's it called?
Chibi.
Yeah, Chibi is Redcliffe, but there's the one
Oh.
where Liu Bei is basically trying to escape with the peasants. I can't remember what.
Oh, I know which one. Yes, I know. I can't remember what
I remember
battle
I think it's like
that
Chang.
is.
Yeah.
It's not the bridge thingy bridge where Zhang Fei.
Yeah, I think it's called Chang. I like to say Chang Ba. I like to think it's
It
called
might
Chang
be that.
Ba.
It might be Chang Ba. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Here's
think.
us, here's
yeah.
us just talking about Chinese history.
Yeah, so that was literally one of my ones I had written down was maybe Salsa because of the way that he's portrayed in a lot of the Dynasty Warriors games until you actually really get to know like he was just an ambitious man.
Well, that's the same with a lot of just history in general. As the saying goes, history is written by the victors, and a lot of it is perspective. You know.
Mm.
Mm.
Strong opener, I believe.
Mm. What about you, Chris?
Well, I've scoured my brain quite a lot, and there's some I've come up with. Like for me personally, I've really gelled with, and I've got a couple of curveballs, but I want to save them until later on in the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
But before I start with my first one, I want to clear up something which I kept seeing on articles, and it kept annoying me. Something fierce because I thought about putting him on this list, but I decided no, I don't think he's like really evil enough. He's not a good boy though. The baddie I keep seeing on the list is Pyramid Head.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I keep seeing him as well.
I know exactly what you're about to, what you're trying to say. You know, I completely agree with what you're about to say.
Yeah, I completely agree because I already know what you're about to say.
Yeah, well, for anyone unclear, Pyramid Head is not the villain. The Pyramid Head is a manifestation by James Sunderland. It's all his own inner psyche. So James Sunderland is the villain, not Pyramid Head. And all these gaming articles seem to have a basic lack of understanding. You can tell, like, after these articles are written, like, in 10 minutes by some intern. It's like, yeah, just put a list of the other villains. It's like, oh, yeah, Dr. Eggman, Bowser, Pyramid Head. There we go.
I literally saw a similar kind of thing earlier on Instagram where I was scrolling down and it went, One Piece anime has entered the final arc. And I was like, no, it hasn't. It's entered the final saga, not the final arc. Get your facts straight. So it's literally the same thing.
I'm sure they do it on purpose.
Oh yeah.
So you go, actually.
It brings a discussion point.
No, I completely agree with Pyramid Head. Yeah.
James Sunderland's a baddie, not him. But that's not my point. But I did think about going with him but no. I'm actually going to go with something a little bit more mainstream, but you got to give it to him. It's fucking entertaining, and he is, like, in no particular order. He runs a massive business, and, huge corporations. They're villains in of themselves. He murdered his way to the top. He tortured his own daughter for many, many years. He killed a lot of the main cast of the series. Also, he's charming as fucking funny.
I know.
Is this Handsome Jack?
It's Handsome Jack. I mean, come on. I know he was in like a lot of lists of like villains, but
that's literally how I knew it was coming.
Yeah, no.
It's well deserved. It's well deserved. It is.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just thoroughly entertaining. And the developers goddamn know it, like Gearbox, because they're doing like a similar thing with like Sephiroth. It's like, we've got a cash cow on our hands. Let's milk it for all it's worth. Let's reference him every 5 seconds, which will probably be damaging to him over the long term. At the minute, I think he's getting away with it. But yeah, I'll tell you what, the voice actor for him, he's not going to go hungry for any time soon, is he? He's going to get work forever.
Well, hope you say that, but you look at the voice of Claptrap from the same game, and yeah, he got fucked over. So yeah,
that's true. But at the minute, he's still with them. So
I think that's not really Gearbox. That's Randy Pitchford. So yeah.
Yeah, as ever, Randy Pitchford and Bobby Kotick are the true villains of any video game.
Randy Pitchford should just stick to being a magician, although he's shit at magic anyway.
Yeah, stick to what you're good at, Randy, like putting porn on hard drives and leaving it around the office.
Yeah, yep. Forgot that was the thing. No, Handsome Jack's great. Like, yep, can't deny that. He's fantastic. Yep.
Mhm.
I think I've said this before, but I think my one problem with the narrative of with Borderlands 2 and Handsome Jack is if you play as my favourite character and class in Borderlands 2, the Siren, it kind of one of the plot points makes no fucking sense. Where he's like, "Oh, I need a siren," and it's just like, well, you could easily just take the player character.
Well, he is still trying to kill you.
But he gets Lilith, but in spoilers. But you know, I know I understand why, but it's one of those plot points that I think if you play as the siren, it's like kind of makes no sense. But then if you don't, it's fine. But
I see it this way. He wants the best of the best, and Lilith trumps me any day.
Right, I'm gonna leave.
Sorry, only facts on this show.
No, they're both great characters.
Yeah.
Um,
Firehawk. Anyway,
yeah.
I think we're veering off topic.
I know.
Let's bring it back round. Next one.
I'm gonna go for an obvious one, but I'm gonna go for a certain version of the character. It's Ganondorf, but I'm going to go with what I think is the best written version, and that is the version from Wind Waker.
Interesting. He has got the most brutal death out of all of them.
Yeah, I was just thinking about Tears of the Kingdom, but I think Tears of the Kingdom has like the best fight with Ganondorf, but I don't think he's the best written. Whereas, and even I think obviously Ocarina of Time is my favourite Zelda, and he's well written in that. But I think Wind Waker, from literally start to finish, you feel his presence, his malice from literally the moment Link's sister is taken. You can feel Ganon's evil, and like just his motives are just so clear and interesting. I just feel he's the most compelling Ganondorf in the entire Zelda franchise. Like, I think my problem with the Twilight Princess one he's great, but he does sometimes feel a little bit like an afterthought, just trying to bump the trilogy of characters in, and even Tears of the Kingdom at times is a little bit like that, because although Ganondorf in Tears is still doing stuff like in most of them, he's still stuck in one place. So I think for me, Ganondorf from Wind Waker just trumps them all, and like the final fight with him is fantastic. I know it's it's an obvious pick, but I guess I had to.
Someone had to take the bullet.
Yeah. At least
What was he going to say?
No, carry on.
Okay. So again, this one's appeared on a couple of the top ones, but it's not really spoke about that much, and I've already mentioned it before on the podcast. But one of my favourite villains while I was growing up, especially during my teens, was when I was playing Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, and the betrayal of your homies by Big Smoke.
Yeah.
Like, going through San Andreas, you're trying to rebuild the hood, you're trying to get Ryder, Big Smoke, and everyone of your gang back together for the homies, and then right at the very end, like, Big Smoke has basically been the one setting you out from the very beginning, and that arrowness of him, saying, CJ, this is it. I thought it was a very nice take on it, and I'm always going to remember Big Smoke as being one of my favourite, well, not my favourite, it's literally the only Grand Theft Auto game I've really played to completion is San Andreas, and the actual character writing is one of the many reasons for that, and just, Big Smoke will always, and just everyone from that will stay with me for a very long time.
Yep.
Alright then. My turn. I suppose this one's a little bit more mainstream as well, but probably less so. But here's one I like, and I think he has a very good dynamic with the main character. In this series, your main character is a little chap by the name of Dante, and your brother is a bit of a knob.
Yep.
Although he's can back himself up. It's Virgil from Devil May Cry.
Yep.
How much do you know about Virgil, guys?
Bits and pieces. I'm not surprised that you've mentioned him. He came in my mind, but I've not played enough Devil May Cry for me to bring him up. But yeah, I know he's the brother. He comes back to life, doesn't he? In I think in the latest Devil May Cry. I think.
Yeah, he well, technically it dies in Devil May Cry 1, but it's before they fleshed out the entire story. It's oh yeah.
Yeah, he's technically in Devil May Cry 1, 3, and 5. I don't know if he's in 2 and 4. But I know he's technically in 1, he's in 3, and he's in 5. And is in the one game reboot, or alternate timeline 1.
Yeah, well, the last boss of the reboot is Virgil. But they try and pull it off like a sort of twist. He's like, oh, you were the baddie all along. He's like, yeah, no shit, it's fucking Virgil. It's like finding out Ganondorf's the villain in Zelda. It's like, oh, well, it was pretty obvious, really, wasn't it? Although, I must say, the DMC reboot actually plays really well. The story's a bit dumb, but I like some of the design decisions they make, like this subliminal advertising, like it's being a villain. That's fun. And it plays really well, so there we are. But respect, DMC. But Virgil, he's always matched with his brother. It's one of those things where it's like a never-ending conflict. It's almost like the world's in balance with them always fighting. Like neither of them ever seem to get the other hand. It's just like yin and yang, which pretty much is what it is. Yeah, there's always going to be some kind of conflict. Like Virgil's always trying to outdo Dante, and it's just like a sibling rivalry, but one that's got a little out of hand, especially in Devil May Cry 5. It gets very out of hand. But I also like how Devil May Cry 5 ends as well. Minor spoilers, I guess. I won't tell the entire story. But it kind of ends with a Virgil and Dante endlessly fighting undead hordes. That's it. There's no respite. It's like yeah, they're just keeping the world safe down there. Virgil started it off kind of sort of in this context, but he knows he's really never gonna beat Dante. He's more like his equal, so they may as well, instead of fight each other, keep fighting more demons. Okay, and just try and one up each other constantly until the end of time. But they do have a very good snappy dynamic. It's got the skills to show off. It just makes a good recurring villain. Again, it's just entertaining, especially some of the stunts he pulls off, which defy physics, just like his brother. And sometimes it's a bit stupid, but that's Devil May Cry for you.
Okay, funny enough, I've actually just thought of another villain that I didn't even write on my list, and I was like, actually, I don't know why I didn't write that on my list. So I'm going to mention that one now. Vamp from Metal Gear Solid 2 and 4.
Yeah, I thought you wouldn't have gone with someone more with other Ocelot and stuff.
Oh, if we're actually going best villain, Liquid and Ocelot, yeah. But I think we're going to something that's a bit different, and I think what I like about Vamp is kind of why I like Liquid and Ocelot are great as well, is they're in multiple games. And with Vamp, you see him kill Otacon's sister in Metal Gear Solid 2. And so there's already that animosity as a player for him doing that. The threat of Vamp feels real. And so when you get to the showdown in Metal Gear Solid 4, where I'm gonna forget his fucking name. What's he fucking called? It's been a while. What's the pretty boy called? Raiden. Raiden. And Raiden.
I said Brandon, but okay.
Close enough.
it jogged my memory. When Raiden returns and he fights Vamp, it kind of feels like it's it's the all coming full circle, and coming it feels very satisfying. That's the thing is, Metal Gear Solid 4 has a lot of that, and even the final fight with Liquid Ocelot is the exact same thing. And they're just two great villains. There's just a lot of great villains from Metal Gear. They're just I think yes, Ocelot and Liquid are the obvious two, and are the two better villains, but I think something different. Vamp. I really think Vamp is a good villain as well.
Okay, right. Brandon, what you got next?
Next on my list, I've got two more which stand out on my list.
Okay.
One of them is from a game which I've been playing, recently, or for the past year or so, and that is the first main villain of Arknight's, Tallulah. And the reason I'm saying Tallulah's one of my favorite villains is in one of the recent chapters. Also, well, we'll just rewind. So she's basically like an incarnation of fire, and she just wants to raise everyone to the ground because essentially everyone's basically treating the infected as almost just like creatures, and she wants to liberate the infected. So she's seen as this basically almost like a terrorist organization just trying to like destroy everything. And then once you beat her in like chapter 8 and you go through like one of the next chapters to try and find out what's going on with Tallulah, and you start to read the backstory, you're like, oh, this is actually quite cute and genuine. And now all of a sudden you see yourself rooting for her because of everything that happened to her as well. But yeah, the main reason I want to say like Tallulah is one of my favorites is, she's got fantastic character design, fantastic backstory with her, and and fantastic boss fights as well. Very sort of that super intense like fights with her. Yeah, I struggled, like even like a lot of like the Arknights veterans say that trying to do the Tallulah stage on Hell, even a lot of the super endgame players struggled doing it. So yeah, I think like in terms of a villain with just sheer presence and like destitute, like Tallulah's up there for me. Yeah, she looks great. That's another cool thing as well.
Yeah, I have no idea about that character.
What do you mean?
I don't know. I don't play Arknights, so.
I've got no idea.
I don't know if you're watching the Arknights anime, but is that villain in that anime?
Yeah, Tallulah's in there as well. She's the main villain.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I need to watch season 2. Actually, I've not sat through that yet. But I remember season 1 being a bit mid. Actually, obviously, all the Arknights fanboys are saying, it's amazing. I'm just like, it's obviously it's played like telling the story of the games, but it's not animated well by any stretch of the mean. I mean, it's got all the voice actors, but it's it's not animated too good.
Chris, what about your next one?
So my next pick goes to from System Shock and System Shock 2, Shodan, the evil AI. For a couple of reasons. One, the original design, especially for like back in the day, is unsettling. The voice work, which uses several different voice samples and sort of mixed together, which is a trick they also did with the Master from the first Fallout game to sort of give it like what makes it sound like multiple personalities, like several people like talking at once, but also electronic. Yeah, Shodan's voice is creepy as hell. You do not want her reading you a bedtime story, ever. And she's just an evil AI, mostly run the space station. She's got a job. She's basically like combining humans and cyborgs, essentially turning them into slaves. And one of the worst parts about it is, if you've ever played System Shock 2 more specifically, the poor people who have been twisted into like these mechanical abominations that want you killed are still very much conscious and alive and don't want to do what they're being driven to do, but they can't control it whatsoever. It's like they're trying to kill your character and they're sort of apologizing and like asking you to put them out their misery. So that's not very nice, is it, Shodan? You naughty computer, you. Yeah, I just think the whole idea behind it and the fact it can't be reasoned with, it can't be bargained with, and it will never stop ever. Which reminds me of some other kind of killer robot. I'll be damned if I can remember what it is, but I'm sure it'll come back to me. That was a joke. See if you can spot it.
No, I'm out of it.
God damn it. Yeah, Shodan, the evil AI from System Shock, is horrifying. There's no other way to put it. It's just full of evil malice. It wants you dead, and it will fuck up anyone that comes up in contact with it. It's not a very nice computer. It's almost as evil as the Commodore 64 console, or the Jaguar CD.
That's just reminded me of another villain.
Oh, okay then.
I don't know how you guys feel about this, especially Dan in particular. Flowey from Undertale.
Oh, that's on my list.
Oh, I got a joint one then.
Flower's great.
Yeah, because like just that sinister being from the very beginning, just the whole personality of Flowey, just everything he sets up for you throughout Undertale is great.
Twist though, if you're going the Undertale route, is Flurry the really villain? Really the
I
villain?
thought
Or if
about
you're doing
this.
the genocide, if you're doing the genocide route, then
Yeah,
it's you.
yeah. I thought this as well. Yeah, because I think if you go like true pacifist, then yeah, I think that's where Brandon's going with it.
Mm.
To be fair, I've thought about that with a few things. I was like, technically, Demon Souls, if you choose the bad ending, you're the main villain.
Yeah, I thought the same thing with Dungeon Keeper. That was going to be one of my twist ones. It's like you're the one building the dungeon. Like you're just getting hints as like what to do. You're the actual baddie. Like you playing the game. You're the villain. I suppose the same kind of argument applies to like Demon Souls and Undertale, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Overlord as well, because you are the Overlord. You are the villain.
Yeah.
Overlord is a spin-off of Dungeon Keeper.
Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
No, definitely. Like even like with Flowery, with a lot of gameplay and how it's all, even when it does all the backstory, it all works well to make him intimidating and as well as sympathetic. Okay, I'll be honest. When I was making my list, I found a problem.
What's that?
Most of them were from Nintendo games.
Well, you got to give it to Nintendo. They can make memorable villains.
So,
Yeah,
so my next one is the best Pokemon villain from the Gen 5 games. Guess this. I can't say it.
Gets this.
Gets this. There you go.
I did think about that myself.
Yeah. Well, it was either him or Cyrus. The problem of why I didn't pick Cyrus, although Cyrus's motives are probably stronger than Guess this. I still can't fucking say it. Is
I thought you were trying to say Genghis.
yes, Genghis Khan. Is I think Cyrus's team isn't as good. So
Cyrus's team makes no sense because the whole point of Cyrus is he's meant to have like no emotion, but he has a Crobat, so he must have some kind of friendship level going on.
There you go.
But that's bollocks, isn't it?
Yeah, Max Happiness Golda.
Yeah.
Whereas Guess this, his team is pretty fucking strong. Even with a Hydreigon, you know, even if you get the Eva Legendary Dragon, that Hydreigon is gonna demolish your team. It's just, it's like Cynthia's team. It's just got good type coverage on all fronts. It's just a well-balanced team that's ready to smack you down as the final boss. And
Yeah.
well, this is in black and white. It's a little bit different in black 2, white 2. I see he is still the main villain, but I think that I'm more going with black and white. I love one of the reasons why I love black and white is it just changed the mold of the entirety of Pokemon, and it was more story focused. And I just like the fact that he was, he's the main villain. I like what Team Plasma, that their aim of stealing Pokemon because they shouldn't be captured by humans. I like that aspect of them. And N, although N, he has good intentions, ultimately gets used. I think Gethys is a fantastic villain for Gen 5, and he's one of the he's one of the best Pokemon villains.
Yeah, I even like the little detail, like his entire team. I like Pokemon that you take one look at them and think, yeah, they look evil. Like Cofagrigus, Buffalant, Seismitoad, Bisharp, Electros, and Hydreigon. He's like, yeah, on that gen, they're the most naughty looking ones.
So yeah,
I was gonna say a certain villain from Pokemon, but it's not your traditional one. So the one I was probably gonna say would either be, well, most likely, Dusknoir from Mystery Heroes, from not Mystery Heroes, Mystery Dungeons.
I've not played him.
You're built up to think that Dusknoir is like this A rank fucking like dungeon hunter, whatever, or mystery dungeon like explorer. Only for him to transpire and be the one to try and pull you back into like the future / path, to the future, to try and like basically take you out because you're a human in this world and you shouldn't exist. And like that betrayal on it, and like everything that happens in like the mystery dungeon series, I was like, yeah, it's kind of cool. I was really tempted to say Dustmar, but now I've mentioned it, so I have mentioned it.
Yeah. Well, this fast running out of time.
Yeah,
So I've got two more I just want to very quickly discuss, and I've got a handful of suggestions by some of our viewers I want to highlight.
yeah, I'm gonna probably do a speed round on my last ones. Like there's probably one I'll say a little bit more, and then a few of them I'll just spit them out. So
All right. So my two last ones, honourable mentions. Firstly, LeChuck from Monkey Island.
I saw
Great
that
design.
on the list.
All of his designs are great, and he actually scared the shit out of me in his first incarnation when I was a little kid. So he actually gets points for that. Plus, again, like Handsome Jack, he's funny. He's got the charisma to swing it. And like Virgil, he's like kind of supposedly, but not really. He's meant to be like Guybrush's brother, so they've got a bit of sibling rivalry. But that's never like denied or confirmed. It's like more a theory to keep playing with. But I like to think it's true. So yeah, LeChuck's good. And then finally, the last one I'm going to throw out, which I bet nobody else has thought of. It's the zigzag block from Tetris. That little fucker. Like the square one's fine, the long one's fine, even the T block's okay, but those little zigzag bastards just ruin your run. Like, where do you put them in? Like, they've only got like two positions you can ideally put them in. Those little bastards. You think, oh, come on, just give me a line, but no. It's the zigzag one. The little shit. So yeah, that's the most evil villain I can think of in the game.
W Tetris.
Yeah. Quick ones for me. Kuja from Final Fantasy 9, of course, it's me. Dr. Octopus from Marvel Spider-Man, and Makarov and General Shepard from the original Modern Warfare 2 and 3.
Yeah, that was one I saw appear in quite a lot of the list. I was like, yeah, I remember those ones.
Yeah, the one and only time Call of Duty was any good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So a few suggestions by our chat and lovely viewers. Thanks for listening, everyone. I keep saying viewers, even though you don't actually view it.
I actually still had another one I was going to mention.
I was like, are you projecting, Chris?
Yes, I am. Go on then, Dan. You have yours, and then I'll keep everyone in suspense for a little bit.
I guess it depends on the playthrough and the perspective, but I probably could mention multiple. There's probably two. I decided to put Edelgard from Fire Emblem Three Houses, because essentially she is... The best way I could describe her is she's anime... how do I say this? She's essentially the animated version of a certain German man from the 19... Yeah. From the World Wars. I'll just say that. So yeah. We can move on.
Okay.
Interesting.
So, from our listeners, we've had suggested to us Dr. Tong from our friend Weldy from Zombies Ate My Neighbours, who's a complete bastard because, one, he turns into a spider, and secondly, he ruins his PBs, his personal best times. But that's truly evil. We've also had mentioned to us Albert Wesker from Resident Evil.
Of course.
Obviously, I'm very much in favour of that.
Yes,
although,
yes.
as much as I like him as a villain, I do think he's a little bit campy and maybe a little bit incompetent. I take seriously. He's entertaining, yeah, but yeah, he's not the best when it actually comes to plotting out a plan. It never really works in his favour.
He's just another one of those villains that felt a bit obvious to mention. I mean, that's,
Yeah, that's why I didn't initially go for it.
I think when we wanted to mention villains that weren't obvious. It's fine mentioning. I know I mentioned Ganondorf, but I think we wanted to mention villains that weren't always mentioned.
Indeed. Yes, so that's a couple mentioned by our chat. And of course, there's always Mother Brain and Ridley from the Metroid games. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Ridley especially. He keeps popping up. He didn't say a single goddamn line. He just wants you dead.
Oh yeah.
And a little thing like death won't stop him.
No, and then he'll just get some metal and come back.
Yeah, or become a robot, or be possessed by something else. He finds a way.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Is there any more from?
I want to say yes, but now I'm struggling to find them. I swear I saw more, but there's a couple.
I thought you said you had more from your chat.
Yeah, I'm struggling to find what they said. God damn it.
Should have asked Adrian last night.
No, I don't think we bought it.
Yeah, the real villain there are the villains that stop you from getting trophies. That's Adrian's ones where they like.
It's Crash Bandicoot 4. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's Dr. Neocortex all along. He was the mastermind behind it all. He comes across as a bumbling idiot sometimes, but god damn it, he makes getting trophies difficult. There we are then. I think for now that's going to be it. Of course, there's loads of great villains out there. So, folks, hit us up. Let us know who's your favourite villains.
Yep.
Just tell us everything.
Yep. And make sure you don't do what those villains do in real life. Treat each other like you want to be treated. We just hopefully in a nice way.
Yeah, as the Simpsons say, don't do what Donnie Don't does.
Yep, indeed.
Indeed.
On a Simpsons note, actually.
Oh, is it still good again?
Well, it's not about that. I believe no, I don't think I said this to you because my friend came round the other week, and while she was round, she was like, "Dan, do you want to watch some Simpsons?" I was like, "That's a bit random, but fair enough." And so we were like, "Oh, you pick an episode, and I'll pick an episode." And the episode I picked was 11 of Troy. And what I didn't realise, I can't believe that was the episode I picked, that's the episode where Adrian's Revenge name comes from. Yeah, I know. There's a joke in that episode which is talking about, is it Rocky 7 or Rocky 8? And it's like, oh, Rocky 7, Adrian's Revenge. I was like, wait a minute. So, I've messaged her saying about it, so she knows. Yep. I can't believe out of however many episodes there are of Simpsons, I picked the one with Adrian Revenge's origin of her streaming name. And yes, I then did watch You Only Move Twice. I had to.
I think best Simpsons episode will have to wait for another episode.
Yeah, definitely. I don't even know what my
Simpsons special.
Simpsons special.
No.
Well, if we do that, I think we know who we need it back on.
Right. Weldy.
Of course. Oh no, how about Shadow Beam? No, I don't know.
Matt Groening himself.
Indeed.
No, I thought we wanted Patrick Wilson on.
No, that's if we want anything horror related. We'll get it for the next Halloween special.
All right. Well, I'll ask my best friend, Talented Projector, and we'll get back to you on that. I think that'll do for one evening. Guys, you can find us wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts. I'm on twitch.tv/SpankyRambles. Brandon's on twitch.tv/Cybarker. Dan, just leave Dan alone.
I exist on the internet.
He does exist. We can clarify that.
Feels weird you doing
That's
this.
it for me. I know, but I thought I'd do it for a change because I'm hijacking this show on being a complete villain.
Yeah, he has been a villain.
It's
He's being like that villain who hijacks your controller, so you've got to change it to the second port.
Yeah.
As ever, the real villain is this controller like joystick drift. It's just ever so slightly annoying.
Yeah, these two will be on Twitch streaming as always. Oh yeah, you'll be doing Doki Doki Literature Club.
Hey.
I was literally
I don't know what to expect, man.
I was literally about to put points in, and then you hit 100%. I was like, yes.
Yeah, like no less than like 15 minutes after I finished my schedule for the next weekend, we hit it. I was like, oh, fuck. I ain't doing it now. I'll do it the weekend after.
Do it the week after. There you go. Yeah, you'll hear us soon. I don't fucking know.
You don't fucking know.
You know how it is. You know when every episode comes out. 2 weeks after. There you go. Every bi-weekly. There you
Listeners,
go.
you'll think after like nearly 3 years we would have mastered how to do an ending to an episode.
Absolutely.
And we say it every fucking time.
Yeah. As ever, the real villain is not having a script.
The real villain, I don't know, is time. Because today,
Aging.
today is the youngest we'll ever be.
Thanks for that, Dan. I needed that
Chris
today.
existential crisis.
Anyway, as ever, the real evil is Mr. Blobby. Bye.
Bye.